Hello everyone, this is semester 6 web programming practical number 9. In this practical, aim is to specify validation in a login form using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. The validation are: user cannot proceed if any field is empty, user cannot proceed if the email ID is incorrect, username should not start with or dash. Now let's understand the code step by step. First, we start with the doctype HTML declaration which tells the browser that we are using HTML5. Next, the HTML tag defines the HTML document. Inside the head section, we use the title tag to give the web page title as a login validation. After that, CSS styling is written inside the style tag. In CSS, the body style sheet is font family. The table style creates a border table and places it in the center of the page. The TH style is used for table heading formatting. TD style adds padding and borders to table cells. The input style sets the width of the text boxes. The button style adds padding to the bottoms. And the message style is used to display validation message in bold red color. Now let's understand the JavaScript code. A function named validate form is created. This function is called when the form is submitted. Inside the function, the value of username, email and password are taken using document.getElement by id value. A variable message is used to display validation message. First, old messages are cleared using message.innerHTML is equal to blank. Next, the program checks whether any field is empty. If any field is blank, the message all fields are mandatory is displayed. The form submission stops using return false. After that, username validation is performed. The character at 0 function checks the first character of the username. If the username starts with @or, the message username should not start with @or is displayed. The form submission stops. Next, email validation is performed. A regular expression pattern is used to check whether the email ID's format is correct or not. If the email format is invalid, the message invalid email ID is displayed. If all validation are successful, the message color changes to green. The message login successful is displayed. Now let's understand the body section. In the body section, a form is created using the form tag. The onSubmit attribute calls the validated form function when the login button is pressed. Inside the form, a table is used to design the login form. Text boxes are created for username, email ID and password. A messages area is created using div message to display validation message. Two buttons are provided, login button and clear button. Now we run the program in the browser. The output displays a login form with username, email ID and password. If any field is empty, invalid, or the username start with @ an error message is displayed. If all inputs are correct, the program displays login successful message.